In League Arena, there are 4 copies of each augment in the pool. This number is derived from the earlier iterations of Arena where they limited augments to 2 copies with 8 players. Now that there are 16 players, we can use common sense and assume that there's a limit of 4 copies instead. I have personally seen 4 copies, but never 5, so I don't know for a fact, but from what I can tell, this is true. In order to explain how to take advantage of this, I'm going to try and simplify it with a deck of cards. More specifically, just the face cards and the aces. 4 copies of each. Let's also play as if there are only 2 players, you and your opponent. This smaller deck represents the pool of augments, and for simplicity's sake, let's assume you can also draw copies of the same augment. This cannot happen in Arena, but that's to your benefit, so ignore that part for now. Let's play. You draw 3 augments and they draw 3 augments. Let's say we're looking for an ace. If we get it, we take it. Otherwise, we're going to try and reroll for it. But the thing is, time is a factor. Every round, both players get about 40 seconds to make their decisions. This is important to remember because this could quickly become a meta of who can read faster as a result of this video. Sorry. Let's continue. It looks like you didn't get an ace, but your opponent did. You don't know that though, so you, as an average player, decide to reroll. Looks like you didn't get an ace this time either, so let's try again. No ace, unlucky. Turns out the guy was holding an ace, so there was 1 less copy for you to roll into. Let's run that back, but with the appropriate strategy. Suppose your opponent draws an ace again while you don't. You don't know what he has, but there's a crucial moment in time where you actually do gain information. When he selects his augment. Once your opponent has chosen which card to hold, you know for a fact what it is, and more importantly, what it isn't. In this case, he has chosen a queen, which means it's not an ace. Now, with the ace back in the pool, there are 4 that you can draw into, so let's try again. Alright, let's reroll. Looks like you didn't get it. So let's go ahead and dump that last reroll. It looks like you still didn't get it. Why? Because of variance. I mean, you had higher odds, but it wasn't guaranteed, was it? So stop complaining on the subreddit about it, or complaining in general. Unless you play like 51 games of Pike, then you can complain. So I can already hear the counter arguments. I'm going to address the main one. Yes, you don't know if the opponent had an ace to shovel back. It could have just been things you don't want, and it would add to the pool of not aces, as in things you don't want. This is correct. However, in the context of League, the odds that in a pool of 48 augments on screen with duplicates, of course, as well as people re-rolling back and forth, that a single person doesn't have an ace is pretty unlikely. To put into perspective, there are 40 prismatics, 55 golds, and 51 silvers, to the best of my knowledge. Even with duplicates, the entire lobby will probably have at least half of the available augments on screen at any given moment. This means that someone out there is probably holding your ace. So the moment 15 people show face up that they're not holding the ace, you know for a fact that there are 4 copies for you to run into, which is less variance despite the fluff going back into the pool than trying to guess how many people have copies of the ace in their hand right now. You could technically try to roll for something while literally 4 people are staring at it on their screen and they're just like waiting to make a decision, you know what I mean? The game won't tell you that you had technically 0% chance, so your best bet is to generally wait for information. Alright, so now we have an edge case. Unique augments or conditional augments such as Stackosaurus, Skill Sniper, or like even Draven's exclusive augment are examples of things that you can know for a fact whether or not people are holding them. For example, if you somehow get into a lobby with 15 other melee champions and you're a ranged character looking for Draw Your Sword, everyone else is basically holding for you because that's 15 players times 3 augments each, 45 copies of not Draw Your Sword being held. Which means you need to roll right now, immediately. Another example is Stackosaurus. If you're the only stacking champion in the lobby, fucking roll right now. If there's another Veigar or some shit, you're just hoping he selects his augment quickly and shows not Stackosaurus face up, while everyone else is holding their augments for you. But of course, your opponents aren't going to collude with you, so it's a game of speed and checking everyone quickly, really. A really cool one would be to take an augment that replaces your summon a spell because the moment you do it, it eliminates all the other summon a spell augments. This ever so slightly narrows the odds for you in particular if you're not looking for shit like Orbital Strike or Feel the Burn. There are so many different ways to take advantage of exclusivity and augment rules. These are a couple of them. I'm not going to state them all, but you can think for yourself and, hopefully this helps. Before we move on to the final topic, prismatic items are not unique amongst the whole lobby, but for individual players they are. There are 36 prismatics and you can't roll the same one again, so if you roll 2 that you like, don't make the mistake of assuming that you can get it again. Unless you buy like 12 prismatic anvils somehow and it shuffles the earlier prismatics back, I do not believe this to be the case as I've never encountered one. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, by the way. Okay, I was going to do a final section about counterplay and like griefing your opponents, but I don't really want to unleash that into the world more than I already have, so just remember, it's a fun game mode for you, but it's a job for me. You don't need to sweat it all the time, just have fun, okay? Alright, thanks for watching.